It was the 28th of July, 2007, a seemingly normal day when there was a 911 call. A little after noon, there was a casualty. Police and paramedics were summoned to a third-floor apartment in Rockaway, Queens. As they examined the body, they realized he was missing an organ, the organ mentioned in the title. There's so much more to the story, and it can get pretty ugly, so viewer discretion is advised. The old man was identified to be Eric Goodbridge. He was a 55-year-old male. Hi there, we are Unsolved Cases and we cover unsolved crime stories from all around the world. If you like this type of content, then consider subscribing to our channel as we bring never-seen crime stories to you. And don't forget to hit that notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a new episode. Brigitte Harris was born on the 6th of June 1991 in Staten Island, New York. All of the evidence pointed at her as the killer. But when they investigated her, she turned out to be Eric's own daughter. What unfolds next had the police officers sick to their stomach. She was born to Eric Goodrich and Lucy Ann Harris. Lucy already had 2 children before she was married to Eric. Together, they went on to have 4 children. When Brigitte was born, Eric denied she was his daughter. Eric was never satisfied with his family life, and so the house was seldom peaceful, which led to a horrible divorce. Eric married someone else, and Lucy was now left with 6 children. As you can imagine, she could barely support them. Just when they thought this was the rock bottom, Lucy had to go back to Liberia for her grandmother's funeral. During her time in Liberia, Lucy left her children under the care of Eric. But there was a huge problem. Since Lucy did not have a green card or citizenship, she is not allowed to return to the United States. This month, all of your children were without their parents, bouncing around from foster home to foster home as Eric never cared about them. But eventually, they moved in with their father, who was Eric. Brigitte was only 9 years old. Things began taking a darker turn in Eric's life as he had to travel back to Liberia for a temporary job, which extended for a couple of months. Even though it was not even a year, Eric's new wife decided to file a divorce as she too grew tired of him. All of these 6 siblings, including Brigitte, were now sent to Eric's sister and grandmother's home in Rhode Island. She was not the kindest grandmother, nor the ideal one for that matter. She was destroyed as a mean and hateful woman who did not have an inch of love in her body. She used to treat them like slaves while the other younger members of the family did nothing. It was likely because Eric had already told her about them not being their biological family. In 2007, Brigitte found stability, renting her own place and working as a security guard at JFK. Finally, she felt a sense of belonging, leaving her troubled past behind and severing ties with her father, Eric. When she finally had her life all sorted out, her father, who basically disowned her, called. Now, as we can imagine, by this time he's tired and he's an old man. We also know from his past relationship with his spouses. It is pretty clear that no one is going to be with him during his time of old age. Brigitte on the phone made it absolutely clear that she wants nothing to do with Eric. Eric came back from Liberia and he was staying with Carlene, who's Erica's sister. Brigitte hated that. This is when Eric's true nature came to light. The main reason why Lucy divorced Eric was not because he wasn't happy. It was because Eric denied Brigitte to be her daughter as he was secretly molesting her, and that started when Brigitte was as young as 3 years old. Brigitte had held it in her memory and stood awake all night with nightmares. Carlene invited Brigitte over for a little family get-together and an excuse for Eric to make things right. Brigitte agreed. As soon as she entered, she began getting glimpses of her past. She noticed Eric grooming her niece the same way he did to her years ago. She knew what Eric had in mind. Brigitte took Carlene aside and began asking her to not let Eric anywhere near her niece. Carlene saw Eric, an old sickly man, a man trying to spend time with his family, while Brigitte couldn't shake the idea of another one sharing the same fate as she did. Thank you so much for watching. We're Unsolved Cases, and if you like listening to our crime stories from all around the world, then consider subscribing. Let us know your thoughts about this case, and we'll be back with a new episode. Have a good day.